Welcome back to the Getting a Grip podcast. It's the day, well, it was the day that we all feared, but the day we all expected, wasn't it? Federer announcing his retirement the other day. Obviously, he hasn't been playing on the tour for a while, actually, so we're kind of slowly getting used to life without him. But it's still, when you actually see it kind of like written down, or you hear him giving that wonderfully eloquent speech, as it, of course, it had to be with Federer.
Yeah.
It hits home. Like, I just remember seeing someone like sending me the message, and I was like, opened it up, and I was just like, oh no, this is it. This is the moment.
Well, he's a key part of how we grew up. Like, I didn't start playing tennis until I was 16, but I watched it when I was a kid. Like, it was always on. My mother used to love watching tennis, and he was one of those staples. You knew if Federer was on, like, regardless of even if you're really a tennis fan, like it's something worth watching. Um, yeah, just the elegance, the class, and whilst we could be sad that he's stopping, and he's retiring. I think we've somewhat gotten used to it. He's basically been retired for 2 years. Let's face it. Sadly, unspoken 2 years, but yeah, nonetheless, it's still not really a major change that we haven't yet seen.
Yeah, I think the signs were there when he lost that Wimbledon quarter final last year, and
Mm,
he basically got like hammered in the last kind of couple of sets, and it was like
yeah,
something's not right here. Obviously, the injury was there, but that was just like I've never seen him kind of that, I don't know, vulnerable or outclassed or whatever. That was when I was like,
docile.
yeah, well, yeah, maybe. As
Yeah,
on his home court as well, the hallowed court of centre court.
yeah,
So yeah, but yeah, he was the reason I started playing tennis. So that's why it's emotional for me, because I remember, what was it, the first time we won Wimbledon back in like '03 when he beat Philippoussis, that final. That was kind of like
mm,
my earliest memory of tennis, basically, when he kind of like fell to his knees and then he was crying in the interview afterwards. I think that kind of like endeared him straight away. But obviously the way he
yeah.
played was kind of the main thing that endeared him to people, and the beauty of his play on court, which is kind of, I don't really know if it's been matched by anyone really, or anyone before him, or maybe even anyone since him.
I don't think anyone has quite managed it. Like we spoke about the idea of Dimitrov being like mini Fed, and this comes up every now and then. But he's still not Federer. Like he's mini Fed. It's still not quite right. The elegance and the class that comes with the quality, aggressive sort of, taking control tennis. Yeah, I think it very much was unique, and we may be seeing this from Alcaraz, but Alcaraz has a different temperament to him in the sense that Federer just felt at ease. He just seemed relaxed and just sort of just there. It's like he's painting. It's
Yeah,
something very simple, and it's that elegance. So
yeah. You didn't hear any of that, like the grunting or anything when he played. It was just, yeah, just it was like poetry on the court. And I
yeah,
think it was that beauty, but coupled with the success that he managed to have with it, which was
yeah,
kind of the unique thing that brought it all together. But yeah, I had this quote that I found, which I think, because when you look at the tributes that kind of come in or whatever, like it's not just from tennis, from like legends across different sports, like
yeah,
Messi, people like that,
yeah.
Tendulkar from cricket. It kind of, yeah, this quote that I found, which was, what was it? It was, people will forget what you did, but they will never forget how you made them feel. And I was like,
Yeah,
that is the
it's a good
one.
point.
That's that's all. That's why people, like, he's in the hearts of so many fans. Obviously, like Nadal is as well, and there'll be lots of
Yeah,
tributes come in when he retires. But it's when you see people posting like their tributes, or they post pictures, and it's him like, hitting a one-handed backhand, looking like a ballerina almost. So things
yeah.
like that, you don't forget that stuff. That, yeah, not, well, no other player can really show you on a court. So yeah, it's sad, but this day was going to come, and I think it's quite
Indeed.
fitting that, like you said, Alcaraz, he's now, well, we hope he's kind of stepping up into take that kind
The
of
likes
place.
We're starting to see some players coming in that look like they could be a staple, solid sort of tour level champions. And yeah, I think it's nice that that's the time it's coming at. Maybe that was a part of the decision from Federer. You never know. Like you never know how last minute the decision was as to whether he really was going to retire, whether he was going to try his hand at a few matches. But you're seeing someone who's basically going to take the spotlight. Then you probably feel duty bound to, well, I probably shouldn't take that spotlight away if I'm not coming back at my best, sort of thing, and I'm not going to be competing at my best. So, whether that was a factor of his decision or not, it doesn't really matter. It has timed well, and it works out best for everyone.
Yeah, it does feel like a bit of a changing of the guard, as we kind of said before. And I
Mm,
think, yeah, quite fitting that Alcaraz's his style of game, not necessarily his style of shot, but his style of game is quite similar to that of Federer in terms of like it's an
yeah,
all court game. He does like to come to the net, which kind of might surprise people somewhat because he's got such power that is sort of reminiscent of, I don't know, like a Nadal from the back of the court, but he's
yeah,
also got
yeah, yeah.
the touch at the net, and he likes to like just create on the court, like we said before after the
Mm,
final. And he's kind of taken that from Federer, albeit he's kind of got a combination of those big three players, which is what makes him quite the most complete player actually, and for that age as well. So yeah,
yeah.
quite fitting that he's kind of hopefully coming in to take the place of those big guys who are slowly coming to the end of their career. I just want to talk about some matches that stand out. So I'll start with probably the one that everyone would pick, which is 2008 Wimbledon final. So he
I was
didn't
going to
actually win
say
this one, but
no. It was a
many
match for the ages. That one, yeah,
many people say that's like one of the best matches ever, if not the
yeah.
best. In the fading light on centre court, I think it
Us
was.
diehard tennis fans, we always go back to this match.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That was, yeah, before there was a roof, obviously. So the light was fading in that last set, and just when you watch the highlights now, it's just some of the rallies are just ridiculous.
Yeah,
Yeah, like some of the best rallies you'll ever see, and to do it on grass as well, which is like one of the most difficult, well, the most difficult surface to time the ball really.
yeah.
That's one that kind of stays with people, which is quite funny actually, because yeah, he actually lost the match, but it was like that was almost like the culmination of their rivalry, Federer and Nadal, after Federer beating him in previous Wimbledon finals, but Nadal, started to dominate on clay, and it was sort of
Yeah.
it felt like it almost like Nadal was taking over from him at that time. Obviously, there was
Mm.
many other matches to come down the line, but that
Well,
was
that's not that we knew that at the time. At the time, it did necessarily like again. I wasn't playing or really thinking about tennis too much at this point, but I did watch that match. Um, Main sporting event as the Wimbledon final is. But it did like all the commentary was about oh look this guy he's finally taking over look he's going to become the new unstoppable world number one. It's just like if he can beat Federer then who else could possibly take him etc etc etc. But no like I say it was the start of something wonderful rather than the end.
yeah, and then that leads me on to the next one, which was the following year. Federer
Yeah,
actually managed to bounce back when he won the French Open, completed the calendar, no, not the calendar, just the Grand Slam in general.
the
I think
career Grand
yeah,
Slams,
the
yeah,
career
the,
Grand
the
Slam.
career Golden Slam, yeah.
Yeah, God, it's confusing.
Yeah, I know.
Obviously, he didn't have to beat Nadal that time because a one Robin Soderling knocked Nadal out, and that was who Federer beat in the final. But
Yeah.
that was another kind of special moment to remember. Like again, as is so often when he won these big titles, like just breaking down in tears, and it's
Yeah,
yeah, like seeing someone literally just like the outpouring of emotion, like almost like their soul being bared in like the interviews afterwards. So that was because yeah, I thought Nadal's taking over now. So for me as a Federer fan, I was getting a little bit concerned.
yeah.
Like how is he
A
going to
bit,
come
a
back
bit
from
cool,
this?
a bit hot up, a little bit. Ooh,
Feel hot under the
shed a tear.
collar.
Yes.
So that was nice to see him come back from that. I don't know. Do you have any other matches after that that you can kind of remember, key ones from Federer's career?
Yeah, I tell you what, it's not one match, it's two matches because it was a rivalry that no one would go, oh, that's a great rivalry. But in this specific year, it was, and it was the 2012 Wimbledon where he beat Andy Murray in the
Of
final.
course.
And funnily enough, Andy Murray broke down in tears, obviously talking, afterwards because, he was starting to have the runs of his life. He was playing some of the most incredible tennis he'd ever played, making it to the final. Yeah, exactly. Roger Federer didn't exactly have a rough time in that final, beating him. But it was still one of those matches where as a Murray fan myself, and this is what started me like loving tennis as well, watching him. Um, it was quite a big moment. And Federer was just so gracious and so lovely, and said, "Oh, you will win this one day. Like it's going to happen." Little did he know that it was going to happen the year after. Um, but it was the fact that it was also Wimbledon. After Wimbledon, it was the Olympics, and it was on the same court that they played the Olympic final. And as that form suggested, even though they were shorter matches, it was Murray versus Federer again, and it was the fact that Federer was looking to make it for a second Olympic gold. And Murray being in a final, everyone was like, "Oh no, it's not going to happen. Oh, not again. Oh, he's going to be wiped away." And obviously Murray took control, and Murray defeated Federer in very classy style on that court. And it was just one of those sort of it was quite a nice thing as a fan of both players, to view that sort of back and forth. And this is what we loved so much about Nadal and Federer, because they almost feel like best friends as well as rivals.
Hmm.
And it was always this like genuine side, and as you say, the soul of these players being so aware, the fans being so aware of it based on the way they're so honest in the interviews afterwards, and so kind to each other. That's what we liked quite a lot. The only thing I've seen recently that sort of felt like that was the fact that everyone thought that Djokovic and Kyrgios hated each other. And then the Wimbledon final, and they're talking like they're newfound lovers and best mates again. And it's just like, oh, well, that was actually quite sweet because it felt a lot more genuine. Whether it was staged or not, I couldn't care less. It was just, again, that sort of thing. It's very, very nice to see, especially in high stakes scenarios such as big finals. So, yeah, again, I think that's one thing that I always remember quite a lot. And yeah, it's partially because I'm a Murray fan, but it's scorched into my brain that that
Mm,
was a great
same.
a great year for both their tennis really.
Yeah, I mean, I always felt that in terms of the Murray rivalry, because also we talked about the Nadal one, I always felt that
Mm,
actually Federer lifted his game against
I
Murray
agree.
because I remember, I think it might have been it was a Wimbledon afterwards, maybe like 2014 or 15 or something, and Murray
Yeah,
was playing really well, um, and Federer was like he was serving particularly well. I mean, he always served like really well, but particularly well
yeah,
in that championships, and he came up against Murray, and literally that was like I think it was a semi-final. I can't remember anyone serving as accurately as that in
no,
like any
pinpoint
Grand
laser
Slam
guard.
match.
Yeah,
It was ridiculous. Like Murray was playing really well, and like he's like one of the best returners ever, just
yeah.
behind Djokovic probably. And he could barely make any inroads. It was yeah. It was. I think it was still a close match. It was only like maybe like one break in each set,
Yeah,
or
yeah,
maybe it was a tie break or something. But I thought Murray was going to win that match going into it. But
yeah,
again, Federer seemed to like lift his game against Murray. Obviously, like he beat him in the U.S. Open like the first time, and other Grand Slam matches he's played well against him. But that particular one kind of stood out to me just because I thought Murray was actually going to get him that day, and Federer just
but
served
that's what these
unbelievable.
great players do with each other. They lift each other's games. They force each other's hands to find something new, and that's what then makes them the great players because they find that extra level. You think they're at the top of their game, and no, there's another level. There's always another level. That's what's wonderful about tennis as well. There's always someone that's going to beat you on a different day. Like you are never you may be world number one, but you are never really the best person in the world at tennis. Truly, because there's always someone that can beat you on a different day. Um, and it could be the same person that you beat yesterday. You never know. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think that's nice, and that's why we liked those rivalries. And this is another reason that I insist that it was a big four and not a big three because he may not have won as many titles. Yeah, he's not part of that elite sort of 20 plus Grand Slams, but Murray brought the best out of all of these three players. Less so Nadal, like they didn't face each other as many times, and not in a memorable sense. But Federer and Djokovic, he certainly had this way of, sort of pushing them, and there was a bit of back and forth through a few years of the careers as well. And I think, yeah, as you say, Federer benefited from that because that back and forth meant that he changed his game. He started to play better because, if Murray was doing this to him, then Djokovic could sure do it as well because they were very similar players. Um, and you have to be aware that you have to change your game, and that's one thing Federer did excellently, especially towards the last few years of his career. Is he managed to change his game very well to actually make his game even shorter in terms of finishing points earlier and coming through the court sooner, in order to then reduce the strain on his body, and it worked a treat.
Yeah, that leads me on nicely actually to the last couple matches that I want to mention. One has to be the 2017 Australian Open final when he
Mm,
and Nadal had just been out injured for like 6 months, which at the time felt like forever. Obviously
yep.
now people are injured for longer than that, but they came back and we didn't really know like where they were going to sit in terms of all the other top players, and then lo and behold they end up playing each other in the final again in what is one of my favourite finals actually, that
That was a big
Australian
year.
Open final. Just yeah, again one of the best matches you'll see. Both playing, I think, as well as I'd seen them play on a hardcore. I think in that
Mm,
match, and it coming down to that last set, and I think Nadal was like 3-1 up or something. I was like, oh no, it's gonna be more heartbreak for Federer against Nadal, and then
mm.
he just went into another level of aggression, which was
God
how he was
mode.
playing, like you said, Neo Federer, as people like to call it. And like he was just hitting ridiculous shots. There was one rally where it must have been at least like 20, 30 shots, then both like one person being on top and then the other one pushing them back, and then it ended with this forehand down the line on the stretch from Federer, and
Mm.
it was just oh yeah, I'll never forget that rally, and that match just blew me away.
It's nights like those where, yeah, you really start to understand what those big moments are like as a fan as well, because you see the emotion they go through, and you see the how much it matters, those big points, those big shots, because people think, oh, they hit these amazing winners, and that's just what they do. But the reason they react like that is because they know what they've done, and in that position, where there's all the stress and the anxiousness, the nervousness, whatever it is, the things that come with these big matches. The fact that they've done that in that moment, on a high risk, like it's a shot that for most people will go out 99% of the time. Yeah, naturally you're going to be excited. So if you see them celebrating, you've got to hope that as a fan you're celebrating too, because they've recognised that that's incredible, and they're going to know if it is.
Yeah, and yeah, I remember watching it thinking that this could be like one of the last like proper finals that they have against each other, and kind of yeah did turn out to be that way. And then there was
Mm,
one final match that I'm going to mention. I don't know if
yes.
you guess which one it might be.
Oh, I could
You'll
guess.
know where it is because I mean it's Federer's home court, but who is
Yeah.
it against?
Who is it against? Well, I think you're going to go the last time they faced off in the final, Federer and Djokovic, I imagine.
I am indeed,
Yeah,
yeah.
that was an incredible match, especially with the crowd against Djokovic, all in favour of Federer.
Yeah, the 2019 final. Actually, the same day as
Indeed.
the Cricket World Cup final. So it's like watching those two, trying to watch them at the same time. And it came, yeah, this was before they introduced the champ tiebreaker after 6 games, or it went to 12 games. Or Federer actually had, I think he had he did serve for the match before they got to that
Mm,
12 all tiebreak, and that was kind of like the key moment really when he wasn't able to serve it out. I think he may have thought at the time like this is maybe my last chance to win a Grand Slam,
yeah,
and that kind of
yeah, yeah, yeah.
pressure even got to him in the end.
I think you
Yeah.
could you could see it on his face and some of these tense moments because I remember that match having a few more double faults from Federer and a few
Mm.
more. In fact, both of them were failing drop shots quite a bit as well.
Yeah, it's a
Djokovic
very
slightly
nervy
more
game.
so that day.
Mm.
Yeah, it's a very nervy game. But as it has and always will do, it brought out the best in them and created an absolute epic.
Yeah, and again, I think at the time we were like, I was like, that might be the last chance he has to win a Grand Slam.
Mm,
And so it was. Maybe he kind of knew already at the time that like he was starting
yeah,
to pick up a few more injuries and stuff, and yeah, being able to play at that his pace of game as well. It's like
yeah,
you have to be
yeah.
right on it, and yeah. So, but I mean, what a fitting kind of final final to have actually. You know, like one of the
Yeah.
longest Wimbledon finals ever, and against one of his major rivals. Yeah, I think kind of like a fitting way to end it really. Special edition of tennis trivia this week, Federer themed, of course. Merlin is going to test out how much of a super fan I am. Bear in mind, I'm not very good at quizzes, so.
So we're going to have to remember that when Murray retires, or I don't know, has no hip anymore, that you're going to have to ask me the questions.
Yeah.
We'll just make that stated so that if it ever goes the other way round, that you people watching and listening can hold us to account.
Don't hold back.
No.
Just go for it.
Anyway, so 5 questions, same theme as always, multiple choices. Let's see what we can do with these questions. See if you can get your first true 5 out of 5. Did you get 4 out of 5 the last time? I think you did. You did fairly well. I remember you having a good outing. I remember I had a poor outing the last time at 2 out of 5. But still, see if we can get this 5 out of 5 on your favourite topic of favourite player. So during his career, during his career, Federer was known to be a classy and stylish sportsman. But that also meant that he was known for his sportsmanship. What I want to know on that theme is how many times during his pro career did Federer retire from a match on the tour? And I've got 4 options for you here. The first is 0, then 1 times, 6 times, or 11 times. What do you reckon? How many times did Roger Federer retire from a professional tennis match?
I'm pretty sure I do know this because I saw a graphic the other day. The graphic said 1 career retirement, 0 match retirements. So I'm going to go with 0, which did surprise me, I have to say.
Quite right. You are absolutely right. Yes, he has retired 0 times from a match due to an injury, which, like I say, some of these great players, they don't want to admit that it's their time to stop, just like Federer recently with his abdominal tear, like the fact that he could have retired the match, but no, he decided to retire the tournament after the match when he'd won it. And that's, like I say, Federer has done that once, but never within a match itself. So I think that's quite incredible. That shows their guts.
Same for the big 3 in general. I think they've hardly retired from any matches. Like I think Murray might be the same as well. Like maybe like a couple at most.
Yeah, very, very few because he tends to put himself through it. He never really retired from the match, but you're watching that match going, oh well, he's going to need some surgery there. Yeah, quite right. Okay, 1 out of 1. Question 2. Federer currently holds one of the major records on the tour. And that record is for the most consecutive weeks at world number 1. Oh, God. So what I want to know is how many weeks was this? Your options are 203, 237, 256, or 301 weeks.
Oh, God. I'm pretty sure it's not the first one. I think I know the total number of weeks he was at number 1, which was like early 300s. I seem to remember. This obviously this kind of streak would have definitely been early on when Nadal sort of just coming through or whatever.
Sort of 2004 to 2009 period, yes.
Yeah. Oh, this is tough. What was it? 230 something and 250 something.
203, 237, 256, and 301.
I'm torn between the 2 middle ones. 250 would literally be like 5 years straight. And 230 is not much less than that either. This is tough. I'm going to go with 256. Yeah, I'll go with that.
Okay. You need to get a grip. Oh. Unlucky. You were right to deliberate between the middle 2. It was in fact 237 weeks, which is the current record that Roger Federer holds for the most consecutive weeks at world number 1. is that not insane?
Yeah,
Being
that is
world number
ridiculous.
one for almost 5 entire years. Um, yeah, mental, mental.
That was when he won pretty much when he won five US and five Wimbledon, like almost at the same time in a row. Crazy.
You bring me on perfectly to my
How
next
do I?
question.
Can't help myself.
Speaking of him, and it sounds like you know the answer, speaking of him being unstoppable during a period in the noughties, he is also the only player to win two Grand Slams 5 years consecutively.
Mm.
What I want to know is which two Grand Slams these were. Your options are Wimbledon and the Australian Open, Wimbledon and the French Open, the Australian and the US Open, or the US Open and Wimbledon.
I believe it is the US Open and Wimbledon.
You are correct. Well done. I won't beat around the bush there because you gave the answer before I asked the question. But that shows some good knowledge. So once again, that consecutive period was not him just winning loads of little matches and smaller tournaments as well. It was also him producing his best tennis on the biggest stages. Again,
Mm.
incredible. That's
Yeah,
10 in 5 years. Like if Carlos can do that 10, in 5 years and has a 20-year career, then wow, what could happen there? But let's see who else shows up on the tour to rival him.
yeah. It doesn't really matter like what the other top players are to do that at any time is just like
Mm,
ridiculous. To stay fit enough and like
yep.
motivated enough to do that is yeah ridiculous.
To just be unstoppably winning.
Yeah,
We all said this about, say, that year that Murray in 2016 was unstoppable before he picked up the major hip injury. And Djokovic for periods, sort of a couple years at a time, he's been sort of
yeah,
unstoppable and just winning everything. But I don't think anyone comes quite as close to Federer in terms of the consecutive period of which he just can't stop winning. Maybe it was a bit of a drain on the tour in terms of rivalries. Like I say, these rivalries set themselves up sort of 2009, 2010 onwards. But yeah, still, that's still insane.
mm.
Anyway, 2 out of 3. Well done. What I want to know for this next question is a little lighter. What is Roger Federer's good luck charm? And you've got 4 options here. Number 1, he ties his wedding ring to his shoelaces when he plays. Number 2, Merker sitting in the stands for every match. Number 3, Tweety Bird. And number 4, his multiple identical twins.
Sorry, what was that? What bird? What was that?
Tweety Bird from Looney Tunes.
Well, that's very like left field, which makes me a bit suspicious. I don't think it's the first one, whatever that was. I don't think it was that one.
Not ties wedding ring to
Yeah, yeah,
shoelaces.
yeah. I feel like that's just Murray's, but uh, Merker, that is plausible. Twins, I don't think so. And then the bird, the blimmin' bird. Maybe he's a
Mm-hmm.
Looney Tunes fan. Um, mm, you know what? I'll go with Merker. I'll go with that one.
Marker
I really
sitting
don't
in the
know though.
stands. Unfortunately, you need to get a grip. It is in fact Tweety Bird that is
It
his
is.
good luck charm. Yes. So in all his matches, Tweety Bird is the good luck charm, and he has admitted to this in many interviews.
I didn't
Um,
know that.
yeah, quite a weird one, isn't it? Everyone has their weird things, but I still don't think anyone can quite beat Rafael Nadal.
No. Just yeah, the OCD. Yeah.
Anyway, 2 out of 4.
Can't
Let's
really
see if
see
we can get
that.
you over.
For those listening,
Yeah.
Merlin was just arranging bottles or glasses in front of him.
Anyway, 2 out of 4. Let's see if we can get you over that 50% mark with our final question. Not only was he consecutively winning on the tour, he was also consecutively playing. He did not have too many severe injury periods over his career. What I'd like to know is how many pro matches, ATP Tour matches, did Roger Federer play on the tour during his entire career up until this point? And you've got four options here. Those four options are 1,499, 1,521, 1,526, and 1,529.
Seriously?
Yes.
Oh my god. Can you just read those out again?
1,499, 1,521, 1,526, and 1,529.
I mean, I don't know how I'm supposed to really know this, but yes, I've watched every single match.
Well, you are a super fan. So...
I remember the 1,342nd match.
No, that's not in the options.
Oh my god. I'll probably just go down somewhere down the middle again. What were the middle two?
1,521 or 1,526.
Why did you need to put them so close together as well? They're already ridiculously high numbers.
I actually thought you'd know this. I actually thought
Seriously?
you'd know. Yeah, I thought you'd know this because it's like a pretty bog standard tweet sort of stat that is everywhere at the moment.
Yeah, but even if I did, like, it'd be easy to get it mixed up with,
That's why I
the number
put
close.
the multiple options to make it a bit harder. But
Okay.
clearly,
I'll go with 1,526.
those are all the options. Yes. Well, it is your lucky day because that is correct. Well done. Yes, Roger Federer has indeed played 1,526 matches on the Pro Tour during his career. I mean, talk about insane. Like, I can't imagine playing that many in my life, let alone playing that many in the period of years that he has been playing tennis. Tennis.
Tweety Bird or
Tweety Bird.
That hurts my brain just to think about how many matches. I do know he's won over 1,200 though. I'm pretty sure something like that.
Yeah.
So
It's a big thing when these players reach the sort of 1,000 match wins mark.
Yeah, my God. Yeah, who was it? It was Djokovic that reached 1,000, didn't he? Like a few months ago. I seem to remember.
Yeah, and then it was sort of like 2 or 3 years ago. I think it was the 2018 or 2019 Oz Open that Nadal reached his 1,000 as well.
Yeah, just insane numbers.
It really
When
is.
this era is done, it's going to be like just like so many quiz questions about the numbers that are, just unfathomable to like normal people.
They
But
have produced stats that, yeah, they'll be written on rocks. If there's a nuclear
yeah,
holocaust or something like that, there's definitely going to be like some rocks written somewhere with like Federer's stats.
yeah, God, we've been very lucky, very blessed.
Mm,
But yeah, well, again, we don't really know how long. Like for me, Nadal seems like he's getting close because when he said after he lost in the US Open, he was like, my movement and my speed is like not up to like the
yeah,
younger players, and that did make me like slightly concerned that he's doubting himself a lot,
yeah.
whether he can still do it. So
Time
I don't think
happens. So,
I don't think it'll be long. Djokovic maybe
no,
a little bit longer because he's also been playing less recently,
yeah.
but yeah, we shall see. I wish we could have seen Federer versus Alcaraz, like in a proper
Yeah,
like them at the top of their game. That would have
just
been
missed each other.
yeah, incredible. Like ships passing in the night, they just missed each other. Anyway, okay. Well, we'll wrap it up there then. Yeah, let us know your favorite memories of like Federer matches or Federer moments that you've seen over the years. Give us a follow on Apple Podcast, Spotify, and on YouTube. Give it a like, share it around, and subscribe. And we will see you in the next one.